Welcome back. Have you ever wondered why terrorists continue to target certain countries while leaving others relatively untouched? It is a question that has challenged governments, military leaders, and security experts for decades. Nigeria is one of those countries that has repeatedly found itself at the center of this conversation, from insurgent attacks in the northeast to violent assaults on villages, military bases, schools, and places of worship. Terrorism has shaped the lives of millions of Nigerians. But why Nigeria? Is it simply because of geography, or is there a deeper strategy behind these attacks? The answer is far more complex than many people realize. Terrorist organizations do not choose their targets randomly. They study countries carefully, looking for opportunities to expand their influence, weaken governments, recruit followers, generate international attention, and finance their operation. Nigeria, because of its unique position in Africa, presents both opportunities and challenges for these groups. Understanding why terrorists target Nigeria is essential to understanding how the country can better protect itself in the future. Nigeria occupies a strategic position unlike almost any other African nation. It is the continent's most populous country, with more than 200 million people. It has one of Africa's largest economies, vast oil and gas reserves, an expanding technology sector, and significant political influence across West Africa. Nigeria also plays an active role in regional diplomacy, peacekeeping missions, and economic cooperation through organizations such as the Economic Community of West African States, better known as ECOWAS. For extremist groups seeking global attention, attacking or destabilizing a country of this importance guarantees international headlines. Geography also plays a major role. Nigeria shares long land borders with Niger, Chad, Cameroon, and Benin. These borders stretch across deserts, forests, rivers, and remote rural communities that are difficult for any government to monitor continuously. Security experts often describe such areas as vulnerable because they can be exploited by criminal organizations, smugglers, arms traffickers, and extremist groups seeking to move people and supplies across national boundaries. While Nigerian security agencies continue strengthening border protection, the sheer size of the country's territory presents a significant challenge. Terrorism itself has also changed dramatically over the past 2 decades. Many extremist organizations no longer operate within one country. Instead, they function as regional or international networks that cooperate across borders. Fighters move from one country to another. Weapons are smuggled through illegal routes, and propaganda spreads instantly through social media and encrypted communication platforms. This means that instability in one neighboring country can quickly affect another. What happens in the wider Sahel region rarely stays confined to one national border. Nigeria has experienced this reality firsthand. The emergence of Boko Haram in the early 2000s transformed the country's security landscape. What began as a local extremist movement eventually developed into a violent insurgency responsible for thousands of deaths, widespread displacements, and humanitarian crises affecting millions of people. Over time, the movement fragmented, with one faction becoming known as the Islamic State West African Province, ISWAP. Although Nigerian security forces have significantly weakened many extremist networks through sustained military operations, the threat has evolved rather than completely disappeared. One reason terrorists continue targeting Nigerians is recruitment. Every extremist organization depends on attracting new members. They often exploit communities affected by poverty, unemployment, poor education, social exclusion, or weak government services. It is important to emphasize that poverty alone does not create terrorists. Millions of Nigerians living in difficult economic conditions reject violence completely. However, Extremist recruiters deliberately target vulnerable individuals by offering financial incentive, distorted ideological messages, or a false sense of belonging. Preventing radicalization, therefore, requires more than military action. It requires creating opportunities that reduce the appeal of extremist narratives. Another factor is economic value. Terrorist organizations need money to survive. Around the world, many finance themselves through kidnapping for ransom, illegal mining, extortion, smuggling, livestock theft, and other criminal activities. Nigeria's large economic and active commercial networks provide opportunities that criminal groups may attempt to exploit. In several regions across Africa, experts have observed increasing cooperation between terrorist organizations and organized criminal networks. While their objectives may differ, both benefit from insecurity, weak law enforcement, and limited government control over remote areas. Publicity is another powerful motivation. Terrorism is designed to spread fear far beyond the immediate location of an attack. A single incident can dominate international news, disrupt investor confidence, affect tourism, and create widespread anxiety among ordinary citizens. From the perspective of extremist organizations, media attention amplifies the psychological impact of violence. Countries with large populations and significant regional influence naturally attract greater international coverage, making them attractive targets for groups seeking maximum visibility. Religion is frequently mentioned whenever terrorism is discussed, but this issue requires careful understanding. The overwhelming majority of religious leaders across all faiths reject violence carried out in the name of religion. Terrorist organizations often manipulate religious language to justify political objectives that contradicts the teaching of the very faith they claim to represent. Their ideology depends on distortion rather than genuine religious scholarship. Recognizing this distinction is essential because confusing entire religious communities with extremist groups only deepens division and undermines efforts to build peace. Political instability in neighboring countries can also influence Nigerian security. Across parts of the Sahel, military coups, governance challenges, and prolonged conflicts have weakened some state institutions. When security pressure increases in one country, armed groups often seek alternative locations where they believe they can regroup or rebuild. This pattern has been observed in several conflict zones around the world. Security analysts therefore argue that no country can defeat transnational terrorism acting entirely alone. Regional cooperation becomes just as important as domestic security operations. Nigeria has responded by strengthening partnership with neighboring countries and international organizations. Joint military operations, intelligence sharing, border patrols, financial investigations, and counter-terrorism training have become increasingly important. Government recognize that information exchange quickly can prevent attacks before they occur. Advances in surveillance technology, satellite monitoring, biometric identification, and artificial intelligence are also becoming valuable tools in modern security operations. Yet, military strength alone cannot eliminate terrorism. Many experts argue that lasting security depends equally on effective governance, quality education, economic growth, strong justice system, community trust, and accountability public institutions. Terrorist organizations often seek to exploit frustration, hopelessness, and distrust. Reducing those conditions weakens their ability to recruit and operate. Communities with access to education, employment, healthcare, and functioning public services are generally more resilient against extremist influence. Ordinary citizens also play an essential role. Across Nigeria, local communities have repeatedly assisted security agencies by reporting suspicious activities, resisting extremist propaganda, and supporting victims of violence. Traditional rulers, religious leaders, educators, civil society organizations, and youth groups continue promoting dialogue and peaceful coexistence despite difficult circumstances. Their contribution often receives less public attention than military operations. But many security specialists believe community resilience remains one of the most effective long-term defenses against violent extremism. There is another important point worth remembering. Terrorist organizations seek to create fear, division, and hopelessness. They want society to lose confidence in their institution and distrust one another. Every successful attack is intended to send a message that governments are powerless. Responding effectively, therefore, requires more than defeating individual fighters. It requires protecting public confidence, strengthening democratic institutions, and ensuring that citizens continue believing in peaceful solutions rather than violence. So why is Nigeria a target for terrorists? The answer lies in a combination of geography, regional influence, economic importance, media visibility, and evolving security dynamics across West Africa. None of these factors makes terrorism inevitable, nor do they mean Nigeria is destined to remain trapped by insecurity. They simply explain why extremist organizations view the country as strategically significant. The future will depend on choices made today. Stronger institutions, regional cooperation, economic opportunity, effective intelligence, professional security forces, and resilient communities together form the strongest defense against terrorism. The battle is not only about protecting borders. It is about protecting hope, preserving stability, and ensuring that future generations inherit a nation where fear no longer determines how people live their daily lives. If you find this report informative, please share your views in the comments below. Kindly like, share, and subscribe for more news reports. I'm Chidera Isom. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next reports.